Good morning, Year 6, and welcome to the final maths lesson of the week. Today we're going to be continuing on our work with area and perimeter, but we're going to be finding the area of parallelograms. Please make sure you're watching the whole video and you're doing your work on paper. It's really important in maths that we're working on paper rather than on the computer. We need to see all of your calculations written out clearly and neatly. So as always, we're going to start the lesson with our morning arithmetic. Please can you pause the video and have a go at these 6 questions. There's a couple of slightly trickier ones in here today. For example, this long division and this slightly harder multiplication of fractions. Okay, you need to have had a go at all 6 of those questions. Don't worry if you got stuck, but you need to try them all. We should see your calculations on your piece of paper and next to where you have marked them. Okay, so for most of these questions, they were quite straightforward. I just want to talk about a couple of them. For 2 1/5 times 215, for me, I would have answered that as 2 1/5 of 215. So I would have done 11/5 of 215, divide by 5 and then times by 11. That's the method I would have used, but there's so many other ways you could have got the answer 473. You could have perhaps done 2 times 215 and then 1/5 of 215 and added them together, or you could have done it as a complete fraction and done 11/5 times 215 over 1 and then simplified that back down. Loads of different methods, lots of different ways of finding the answer. For question 4, you need to be really careful with your zeros for a number of reasons. Firstly, identify your known fact. 30 divided by 6 is equal to 5. Okay? Now you have to remember in division, this is the product and we have to share out the zeros between both factors. There's 1 0 here that has been used up already. The other 0 now belongs with the 50. It's 50 times 60 to make 3,000. Finally, we're going to go through this long division using the formal method of long division. If you used a different method, for example, chunking and Sheffield class, don't worry so long as you get the same answer as me. So with the formal written method, we first see if 17 fits into 1. No. 15? No. So now I'm going to estimate how many times 17 fits into 151. 17 I would estimate to be around 20, and that's 150. How many 2's in 15? How many 20's in 150? I think it's going to be about 7. So I'm going to try 17 times 7 over here. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 1 is 7. Add 4 is 119. I can see my estimate was perhaps a little bit low. So now I'm going to try again. I'm going to do 17 times 8. We'll see what that is. 7 times 8 is 56. 8 times 1 is 8. Add 5 is 136. Could I fit another 17 in there? Let's see. What would happen if I added 7 now? 6 add 3 is 13. 3 add 1 would be 3, 4, 5. And add that 1 there, 153. No. That would be too many, so I know it is exactly 8 groups of 7. Okay, my next step then is to subtract that to find your remainder. Subtract 136. You can just complete that here. Okay, 11 take away 6 is 5, 4 take away 3 is 1, 1 take away 1 is 0. Now you bring down that 3 and you're now deciding how many times does 17 fit into 153. Now, those of you with a good memory will actually remember we just worked that out. It was exactly 9 groups of 17. So your answer there was 89. Well done if you got the correct answer. Remember, a long division is always worth 2 marks, so it's always worth checking your work. Okay, can you please pause the video now and have a go at these reasoning questions? There are 3 questions based on this pictogram. Don't forget to look at the key. Right, I'm going to go through these reasoning questions now, so please make sure you've had a go at solving them. How many white t-shirts were sold? We need to go to white and we need to count in 100s. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. There are 500, and then what's 3/4 of 100? That's 75. 575. Okay, how many more blue t-shirts than orange t-shirts were sold? How many more? That means I'll do a subtraction. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. We're going to take away the orange ones. 100, 200. Oh, that's a half, so that's 250. 500, take away 250, I know is 250. How many t-shirts were sold in total? For this one, you just add up your full circles first is my advice. So that'd be 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1000, 1100, 1200, 1300, 1400, 1500. I now take these two halves and make 1600. This is 75, so that's 1675. Okay, count up how many holes there are and that add on your part. There are 16 holes and 1 3/4, which is 75. 1675. Okay, please can you write the date and Walt on your piece of paper and have a go at finding the area of these triangles. Just to recap what we did yesterday. Remember, the area of a triangle is the base times the perpendicular height, and then you get that and you divide it by 2. So step 1, base times height. Step 2, divide by 2. Off you go, have a go at this do now. Okay, you should have written the date, the Walt, and then underlined them with a ruler, and then written do now and done question 1 and question 2. Remember, this is to be done on paper, not on the computer. You need to make sure you're doing your maths work on paper, please. Okay, step 1, or question 1. 10 times 8 is 80. 80 divided by 2 is equal to 40. And your unit of measure is centimeters squared, because we're looking at the interior angle, the interior measurement. Okay, let's look at question 2 then. Step 1, 6 times 7 is 42. Don't use this 8, remember that's not perpendicular height. 6 times 7 is 42, and then 42 divided by 2 is going to be 21, and your unit of measurement is centimeters squared. Well done if you got both of those questions from yesterday. Okay, today we're going to be finding the area of parallelograms. But before we do that, I want you to imagine a parallelogram. Okay, here is the parallelogram that I have for you. And to help you see how we find the area of a parallelogram, I want you just to imagine that I'm chopping this section of the parallelogram off and I'm placing it at the other end. This exact section here. Now let's, oops. Sorry. That did not work how I wanted it to. I'm going to take this section and trace around it. I know I'm not using a ruler, but I can't use 2 at a time. And now I'm going to move it to over here. You can see, had I used a ruler, I would now have a perfect rectangle. Okay, so when you're finding the area of a parallelogram, you're doing the base times not this measurement here, because that's not the height. This is the height here. So you do the base times the perpendicular height again. So just like yesterday with the triangles, we're doing the base times this height here, the perpendicular at a right angle. Okay, well, let's have a look at this first question then. Sorry, my speaker is speaking at you. Let's have a look at this first question. I need to find the area of the parallelogram, so I'm going to do the base, which is here, times the perpendicular height. That's not this measurement. This is not a right angle. I'm looking for the perpendicular height, so it's this one here. Therefore, all I need to do is 23 times 10. 23 times 10 is 230, and then my unit of measurement is centimeters squared. So you can see finding the area of a parallelogram is just like finding the area of a rectangle. You've just got to make sure you're finding the perpendicular height. And I'll just show you one more time. If I chop off this triangle at the end and I move it over, you'll see why that works, because there's our perpendicular height as the height of the rectangle, making a perfect rectangle there. Okay, so base. In this question, where is my base? I need to find a right angle. This is not the right angle here, so I'm looking at this being the base and this is the perpendicular height. Therefore, I'm doing 12 times 4. What is 12 times 4? Well done if you said 48. And what's my unit of measurement? Well done if you said centimeters squared. So identify what the base and height actually is and then multiply. In this question then, I don't have the base and height written out. It says identify the base and height and then multiply them. I've got these squares on a centimetre grid. Therefore, I need to count my squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. The base is 4 centimetres. What's the height going to be? Can I count how many squares along here? Well done if you said no, because that's not at a right angle and it's not a perpendicular line. I need to count the perpendicular height. That is this measurement here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 centimetres. Now that I've done step 1, quickly work out what the area is going to be. Okay, well done if you did 5 times 4 is equal to 20 and your unit of measurement is centimetres squared. Really good job. All right, Can you have a go at this one on your piece of paper? This is going to be question 1 on your paper. Pause the video now and answer this question here. What's the area of this parallelogram? So on your paper, you should have written number 1, and then you should have written your calculation. 3 times 8 is equal to 24, and then you need your unit of measurement, centimetres squared. If you didn't write your calculation, can I ask you to write out your calculation from now on so that we know whether it's your identification of the height or whether it's because you don't know how to do your multiplication times tables, which is making you get the wrong answer. So please always write out your calculations. Okay, let's have a look at this one a little bit more carefully then. I can see the base and the perpendicular height are not quite exactly easy for me to spot. I'm looking for a right angle. Is this here a right angle? No. Actually, this measurement here is my right angle. So you need to now remember a second fact about parallelograms, and that's that the base and the height are the same length. And this measurement and this measurement are also the same length. But although that won't be our perpendicular, height, that's not relevant. So if the top measurement is 11.2, the bottom measurement is also 11.2 centimetres. So the base is 11.2, and then the height is, of course, 5 centimetres. 11.2 multiplied by 5. You could use a written method for this, or you could use a mental method, times it by 10, and then halve it. I'm going to use the written method for this one. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 1 is 1, add 1 is 6, and 5 times 1 is 5. But don't forget, in your question, you had a decimal. Should we put your decimal in there? The answer is 56, the unit of measurement, centimetres squared. Okay, this is a question where we're working backwards. In this question, we're given the area. The area is 48 centimetres squared. And we're given our perpendicular height, which is 8 centimetres. We're being asked to find the length of this parallelogram's base. If I know that the area is equal to the length times the perpendicular height, that tells me that 48, which is the area, is equal to the length times the perpendicular height, which is 8. What do I times by 8 in order to get 48? Well done if you think the answer is 6. And now be careful, is my unit of measurement here for the base centimetres or centimetres squared? What do you think? Well done if you said centimetres. The reason it's not centimetres squared is because it's a measurement of length rather than the interior of the shape. We only use centimetres squared when we're looking at the area of the shape. Okay, you're going to have a go at this question. In fact, actually, no, I'm going to help you with this question because there's an extra step that's a bit trickier. For this question, what makes it a little bit harder? Have a look at the numbers. What makes this question a little bit harder than the previous one? Well done if you spotted our different units of measurement. In one word, what do I need to do before I do anything else? Well done if your one word was convert. Before I do anything else, I need to convert my units of measure. I need to make 4.5 centimetres into millimetres. I know I times by 10, so that's 45 millimetres. Okay, now I'd like you to solve this question. What is the length of this shape? Remember, you can use your formula to help you. Area equals length times height. Use that formula to find your answer. This is question 2 of your independent work. Please pause the video and have a go now. Okay, so the area is 45. My length is unknown and my height is 10. So in order to find the length by itself, I get rid of times 10 by dividing by 10. 45 divided by 10 is 4.5. Well done if you said the length was 4.5. What? Centimetres, millimetres, centimetres squared, millimetres squared. What's my unit of measurement here? Well done if you said millimetres. This is, of course, millimetres rather than centimetres or centimetres squared. Right, we're going to have a look at some slightly harder reasoning questions, and then I'm going to show you independent work for the day. I'm going to go through these reasoning questions, and some of them will be very similar to some you're going to try later. So make sure you're paying attention, and I'm going to ask you what you think the correct answer is as we're going along. You don't need to write this down, but it's just to make sure you're thinking constantly. Don't just listen to me, actively answer the questions I'm asking out loud. Okay, this square and parallelogram have the same area. Okay, so they've got the same area. That's my first fact I need to remember. I want to find the perpendicular height of the parallelogram. What is the perpendicular height? Right. Establish what I know. Okay, I know they've got the same area and I know I'm looking for the height. Establish what I can work out. Well, I can't work out the height yet because I've only got one of the measurements in my formula. I know that the area is the length times the height. I need two measurements in order to be able to solve it, and at the moment I only know the length of the base. Let's have a look at this shape then. This is a square. I know the area of the square will be area is equal to length times height. I already know my length of the base. Can I work out the height? I can actually, yes. It's a square, so that's 4 centimetres. That means that's the first thing that I can solve because I've got two of the numbers. 4 times 4 is 16 centimetres squared. So using that knowledge I knew from before then, where we said they've got the same area, I now also know the area of this shape. The area of this shape is also 16 centimetres squared. Now I've got two pieces of information, I can work out my perpendicular height. Fill it in the formula. The area is 16, and that's equal to the length, 8, times something. What do I times by 2 to make 16? Sorry, what do I times by 8 to make 16? I've given you the answer. The height of this shape is 2 centimetres. Quite tricky, but it's important that you go through the steps of writing down and noting down everything you know, and then start by working out the small things you can work out to help you get there in the end. Let's have a look at this question then. What is the area of the rectangle that's shaded grey? So I can see this area is grey and this bit is grey. Start with what you know then. I know that the length of this rectangle is 14 and the height is 8. I also know that I can find the area of a rectangle by doing the length times the height. So I'm going to find the area of the rectangle. 14 multiplied by 8. I'll do that up here because I don't want to make a silly mistake by getting it wrong. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 1 is 8. Let's add 3. That's 112. So the area of the whole rectangle is 112 centimetres squared. Is that answering the question though, or do I need to do something else? Well done if you've spotted that I need to do something else, because of course the whole of the rectangle was not shaded. There's a section of the rectangle that wasn't shaded, and that's what I need to find now. The base of this parallelogram is 3. Do I know the perpendicular height? Yes, it's over here. This height is the same the whole way through this shape. So I need to find the area of this parallelogram by doing 3 times 8. Which is equal to 24 centimetres squared. Now that I know the area of the whole rectangle is 112 and the area of this shape is 24, how will I find the area of just the grey bit? What do I need to do next? What's my final step? Well done if you're saying I should subtract. I'm going to do 112 take away 24. 2 take away 4 is not possible. I'll regroup. 12 take away 4 is 8, and now I'm doing 10 take away 2, which is 8. 88 centimetres squared. There's a question basically exactly the same as this one in your reasoning work. So if you've watched the video, you'll be able to answer this question. If you need to, you can go back and rewind the video to have a look at how I've solved this one again. It's time to have a go then at your independent work. There are several different groups of questions, so please make sure you watch the whole video because you need to answer all of the questions. This is the first group of questions where you're just finding the area of the parallelograms. These two are slightly harder, so make sure you're remembering what to do when you're timesing decimals and when you're timesing larger numbers. Pause the video now to have a go at this first group of questions. Okay, so I'm now going to show you the next group of questions. Here, you've got the area and you're looking for the missing sides. Won't take particularly long. This one is a little bit harder and you'll have to think really carefully about how you can find that missing angle. Be creative with your numbers and your methods. Pause the video and try these 4 questions. Okay, we're now going to look at some reasoning questions. You need to at least attempt 1, preferably 2 of these reasoning questions, but they do get harder and harder and harder. The first 2 should be possible for everyone to solve, so I want everyone to have a go at them. Here's your first reasoning question. Amanda says, the area of this parallelogram will be 12 centimetres times 14 centimetres, which is 168 centimetres squared. Do you agree or disagree? Why? For your answer, you would say, I agree because, or I disagree because. Pause the video now. Everyone needs to have a go at this question. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next question then. This one again, I think everyone should have a go at because I've shown you how to do a similar one. What's the area of this rectangle that is shaded? I don't want this bit, it's not shaded. So what's the area of the shaded part of the rectangle? You've even been given a hint there, so everyone can have a go. Pause the video and try that now. Okay, they're starting to get a little bit trickier now, but I have given you some hints. Here you have a diagram that shows a logo made up of 5 identical parallelograms. You're asked to find the area of just one parallelogram. You have all the information that's needed, but it's about working out what needs to be done. I've given you a little hint, and that is look at the shape sideways, by which I mean turn it on its side and look at it like that. Have a go at this question. It is a bit trickier though, but you should all have a go at least. You don't know if it's too hard for you until you've tried it. So pause the video and have a go at this question. And then this is your final question. It is very tricky, this one, so this is really only for those of you who want to push yourselves. This shape is made from 4 congruent parallelograms. Congruent means the same shape, but maybe it's reflected or moved, but it's got the same dimensions. The area of the whole shape is 308 centimeters squared. What is the length labelled y? It's a tough question. You're really going to have to break it down. I have given you a clue though. Your clue says, start by finding the area of just one parallelogram. From that, you have enough information to find the height and the width of that parallelogram, and you can use that to find y. It is tough. I understand if you find this one a bit trickier. Right, I'm going to go through the answers now. Make sure you're marking your work. Here are the answers to the first set of questions. Please mark your work carefully and also make sure you're marking your work honestly. Don't just copy down my answers. I'll know if you've copied down my answers because I haven't shown you my working out for these ones. I need to see you working out and you tick your work if it's correct. For the next group of questions here, you need to find the missing lengths. That was 3, 8, 12 and 20. If you got stuck on this one, here's how I would have done it. I'm doing 170 divided by 8.5. I don't want to divide by a decimal number. So what I'm actually going to do is change those numbers. I'm going to multiply both of them by 10. That means I can now do 1,700 divided by 85 and then use the bust up method for that. Another thing that you could have done then is thought about 8.5 and what double 8.5 would be. Double 8.5 is 17. So 8.5 times 20 would be 170. Loads of different ways, but I think if I was unsure, I would have done this. I'd have just multiplied both numbers by 10, so I'm not dividing with a decimal and had to go like that. Right, the reasoning problems. Amanda is wrong. I disagree with her because this is not the perpendicular height. The perpendicular height has not been given. Amanda cannot find the area of this parallelogram because she does not know the perpendicular height. Well done if you use the word perpendicular, and especially well done if you spelt it correctly. Okay, the next question then. We went through one very similar, so I'm going to be very pleased with everyone who had a go at this one, even if they found it tricky. First, find the area of the rectangle. That's 20 times 10. The area of the whole rectangle is 200. Now let's find the area of the parallelogram. That's 7 and the height is 10. 7 times 10 is 70. Now take away the parallelogram to find just the rectangle that's shaded. 200 take away 70 is equal to 130. What's your unit of measurement? Centimeters squared. Well done if you got this one. It is tricky, so really good job. Okay, for this one I said it would help you to turn it sideways and think of that as the base. The base is 10. What is one perpendicular height? If 5 perpendicular heights is 25, 1 would be 5. So then to find the area of one parallelogram, I'm just doing 10 times 5, which is 50 centimeters squared. Well done if you got that one. And finally, this very challenging one here. All you needed to do, there was quite a lot you needed to do. Firstly, take the information you've got, find one area. So I do 308 divided by 4. 4 into 3 is 0, regroup 3 times. 4 into 30 is 7, regrouping twice, and that's going to be 7. So the area of one parallelogram is 77. Okay, I now need to find the height and the width of one of the parallelograms. Look at all the information you have. What can help you? This measurement here. The height of 2 is 14, so the height of 1 is 7. Now you're thinking to yourself, okay, 7 times what makes 77? 7 times 11. So if that's 11, that's also 11. what's this measurement here? It's 6. So then you're doing 11 add 11, which is 22, add 6, which is 28 centimetres. If you got that one correct, very well done. It was extremely challenging, and I just put it in there for those of you who like a challenge to have a go at. Really well done if you've been successful with today's learning. Don't forget to upload it onto Seesaw so your teacher can see your fantastic work. I'll see you tomorrow for another maths lesson. Don't forget, though, upload it onto Seesaw, and good luck.